then it'll be.
Okay, whoops, something happened. Something knocked over and everything stopped.
Oh my God.
Something is going wrong today.
I wish I were helpful.
Okay, let's begin. It is recording, correct?
Oh, here comes Fran. Yeah, Fran Miller.
Is this recording?
Yes.
Okay, let's begin. We're Haggadah this morning. So the very famous passage of the Hishe Amda. The Hishe Amda lavosenu v'lanu, shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu l'chavosenu, elo shebechol dor v'dor amdim aleinu l'chavosenu, ve'akadosh baruch hu matzilenu miyadam. This has become very famous because of
it's very relevant.
Of the tune, and it's very right. This is what has stood by our ancestors and us. For not just one alone has risen against us to destroy us, but in every generation they rise against us to destroy us. And the Holy One, blessed be He, saves us from their hand. That's what I want to deal with today. This very well-known passage in the Haggadah. But this Haggadah, this part of the Haggadah, is the introduction to the major text of the Haggadah. If I was to ask you, what is the major focus of the Haggadah? The answer is Arami Oved Avi, the passage from the Bikurim, when a Jew would bring first fruits to Yerushalayim, to the Beis HaMikdash, his first fruits, he would make a declaration. And he would say, Arami Oved Avi, history of about 6-7 psukim, and that's what he would say. What does the Haggadah do? As soon as we're finished with the Hishe Amda, it says, Say Ulamad, go and learn, and take a look. It analyzes pasuk by pasuk, word by word, Arami Oved Avi, which is the major text of the Haggadah. Most people don't study that. That's the problem. But it's the major text of the Haggadah. And this is the introduction. The introduction to Arami Oved Avi is the Hishe Amda. Every generation has anti-Semites. And every generation they want to wipe us out. This is certainly totally current today as we sit here today and during this war with Iran, right? But what does this have to do with the text of Arami Oved Avi? And the Rav suggests by saying the Hishe Amda right here, we're transforming the experience for the Jew sitting around the Seder. He is not, and I quote the Rav, re-experiencing or remembering or memory. This is not just memory. This is reality. The Hishe Amda declares this is not a history class. The Seder is not just, okay, let's go down memory lane. No, it's much, much more. We're saying the Haggadah relates to me. It's Chayav Adam Liros Es Atzmo Ki'ilu Yatzam Mitzrayim. We say at the very end of Magi, right? It's obligated for the Jew to think that he and she experienced the experience themselves. This is not a case of, okay, let's share nostalgia. This is not nostalgia. The Hishe Amda introduces the Arami Oved Avi, Rabbi Soloveitchik explains, because it says, hey, guess what? This is happening to me. And what are we saying? Without God, without the grace of God, we would have been annihilated a long time ago. We shouldn't be here, which leads us to a fantastic comment of the 18th century great rabbinic giant Yaakov Emden, known as the Yavitz, Yaakov Emden. Yaakov Emden captures this thought in his remarkable introduction. He wrote an enormous amount. He was a prolific writer. He was a genius. But Yaakov Emden wrote a massive, very important work on the Siddur. A Hakdama in his introduction to the Siddur. Listen to what he writes. I'm going to read it in Hebrew and then translate. When I contemplate these wonders, the existence of Israel in the exile, Nishba ani b'chai, I swear by my life, sheniflot elu gedolim be'enai yoter mikol hanisim v'aniflot she'asa Hashem yitbarach la'avotenu b'Mitzrayim u'bamidbar u'be'eretz Yisrael. When I contemplate where we are today, he's sitting in Europe, he's sitting in Germany, 18th century, okay, 1700s. And he says, when I contemplate these wonders, the existence of Israel in the exile, meaning, hey, my colleagues, everybody, the Jews outside of Israel, because we're in exile, right? appears to me to be a greater miracle than all the miracles and all the wonders that the Blessed One performed for our ancestors in Egypt, in the wilderness, and in the land of Israel. Bottom line, what's Yaakov Emden saying? The existence of the Jewish people is the greatest miracle. You can tell me all about Kriyas Yamsuf, all about Exodus, all about the 10 plagues. They pale in comparison to one greater miracle. And which the greater miracle, the greatest miracle of all, that we're still around. The greatest miracle is that we are sitting right here, right now, in Los Angeles, studying the Haggadah. That's the greatest miracle, because we don't belong here. We don't belong here. They don't want us. So we see this all the time. One little Jewish people. And what does the Torah call us? The smallest of all people. We're not tens of millions, hundreds of millions. We're, what does Rabbi Sachs call it? He says,
the largest family in the smallest nation.
Right, largest family and the smallest nation. But what does he say? He says it's a statistical error on the Chinese census. That's who we are, right? We are so small. The Rav suggested, and I read to you the Rav. The greatest miracle in Jewish history is not the splitting of the Red Sea or the miracles in Egypt. The greatest miracle is the very existence of the Jewish people throughout the long night of exile. Empires rose and vanished. Mighty civilizations disappeared without a trace. Yet the small and persecuted Jewish people survived. That's Rabbi Soloveitchik summing up with Yaakov Emden. Well, let me read to you another great gadol. His name was Mark Twain. Mark Twain wrote a very important essay called Concerning the Jews. And he writes the following. It's amazing, right? It's Yaakov Emden writing this rough. So no. Let's deal with a 19th century author called Mark Twain. He has made a marvelous fight in this world. He's talking about the Jews. Remember, Mark Twain goes to the Middle East and he visits what is then Palestine, right? He has made a marvelous fight in this world in all ages and has done it with his hands tied behind his back. He could be vain of himself, and he should be excused for it, because the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greeks and the Romans followed and made a vast noise, and they are gone. Then he writes, other peoples have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now, or have vanished. The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no weakening of his parts, no slowing of his energies, no dulling of his alert and aggressive mind. He's writing in this 19th century. He's not writing this now on the 21st century, where we are the partner with the greatest might in the world. The greatest army in the world is the United States. And who is the ally fighting Iran? It's unheard of. This small little nation is considered the second most powerful army in the world today. All things are mortal, Twain writes, all things are mortal, but the Jew. The Jew's not mortal. All other forces pass, but the Jew remains. What is the secret of his immortality? That's what Mark Twain writes. In the year 2000, the chief rabbi Jonathan Sachs in London was invited to deliver the Windsor Castle, to deliver in the Windsor Castle. The Windsor Castle is the oldest continuously used castle in the world. It's home of Britain's kings and queens. He was offered and he was invited to give the prestigious St. George's lecture. It's called the St. George's lecture, and it's in the presence of Prince Philip, who's today King Philip, right? Okay, Rabbi Sachs was the first Jew ever to be invited to deliver this lecture. Never was a Jew invited to deliver this lecture. You have to be a major intellect. Sachs was respected and Sachs was invited.
When was this? What year?
Year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
2000, 26 years ago. And so Rabbi Sachs realizes, wow, I'm the first Jew to be invited to do this. And he says, I spent a lot of time thinking what I'm going to share. And listen to his self-awareness preparing for this speech. And I read to you what he wrote. I thought hard about what to say. I thought of the history of the Jews in Europe, driven for so many centuries from country to country without rights, without power, without home. I found myself thinking back across the centuries to an earlier and painful age in British history. The first blood libel in Norwich in 1144, the massacre in York in 1190, and the expulsion of the Jews by Edward I in 1290. Those events set a pattern that was to be followed in one European country after another during the following 200 years. What would our ancestors, harried and afflicted, have said had they been able to foresee that one day one of their number would be invited back to the home of the king who had sent them into exile? I'm giving this lecture in the place where one of the kings sent us into exile. It's mind-boggling, right? I remembered a verse in Tehillim 119, verse 46, and I quote, "I will speak of your statutes before kings and not be ashamed." And Rabbi Isaac says, I was determined to be faithful to that pasuk. I will not be ashamed to say what I have to say. And these words were the chief rabbi's Vihi She'amda, if you will. He was telling the world, Vihi She'amda l'avoseinu v'lanu. B'chol dor v'dor, omdim aleinu l'chaluseinu. Every generation, they tried to wipe us out. We have a mighty power. It's called HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Or we say it every morning in Tefillah. Eile v'rechev ve'eile v'asusim. They have horses and they have chariots. They have the might of the world. V'anachnu v'shem Hashem Elokeinu naskir. We have God. We have God. We call out his name. And the truth is, that is what this is all about. V'hi she'amda is the introduction to the Haggadah's major text, Arami Oved Avi, because it transforms our experience to what I just shared with you. The reality of our lives is not some memory. We know it. We taste it. We live it. We breathe it. And as I sit here today in 2026, sharing this with you, we're in the midst of a war with an arch enemy called Iran. It's mind-boggling for all of us why there are people that in America that don't realize that this is a just war to wipe out an enemy to the, these people think, oh, this is not a threat to America. This is a threat to humanity. They're waiting for another Pearl Harbor. Oh, when we get the Pearl Harbor, then we respond, right? Or they're waiting for another North Korea to surface. Now we have North Korea, uncontrolled. God forbid what they can do to us, what they can do to the world. That's what we're waiting for. No, Vihi She'amda, we understand it. We taste it, we live it, we understand it. Rav Soloveitchik says there's a custom that you have to think about. There's a custom comes with Vihi She'amda. What is it? What do you, no, Vihi She'amda, what do? You cover the matzos. Whenever you lift the cup at the Seder, you cover the matzos. Whenever you put down the cup, you uncover the matzos. It's constantly covering, uncovering, right? Vihi She'amda, you lift the kos. You lift your goblet. You don't say this without lifting your goblet. And you're lifting the second cup. The first cup was Kiddush. So you're lifting kos sheni, the second of your 4 cups, and you say, holding it, Vihi She'amda l'avoseinu v'lanu. The Rav said, why is this the custom? The Rav was the only Rosh Yeshiva that I can think of that was fascinated by minhagim and spent an inordinate amount of time explaining minhagim. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? He felt it was so important for us to understand what we're doing. There is kedusha, there is sanctity in every custom we have. So the Rav said, why do we lift the kos? And the Rav said, because a kos symbolizes Jewish destiny. This is beautiful. Jewish destiny is the kos. He quotes the pasuk. You know the pasuk. It's Dishanto v'shemen roshi kosi rivoya. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Oops. Right? You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. And then there's another pasuk that the Rav quotes from Tehillim as well. Chapter 116, verse 13. Kos Yeshuos Esa, who v'shem Hashem Ekra. We know that because we say that on Saturday night when we say Havdalah. I will raise up the cup of salvation, right? Kos Yeshuos Esa uv'shem, and I will call out God's name. Kos Yeshuos Esa, I will raise up the cup of salvation. And the Rav therefore concludes, raising the cup symbolizes that the Haggadah is a book of Jewish identity and Jewish destiny. As soon as we finish saying V'hi She'amda, the Haggadah instructs us. What are the two next words in the Haggadah? Say ulamad. Say ulamad, right? What does say ulamad mean? Go ahead and investigate yourself. Now you have a job. This is not a memory. Remember, this is not memory. This is not to memorialize past memories. That's not what we're doing. Say ulamad. Go out and investigate yourself to see that the V'hi She'amda is a reality, and it's not vengeful rhetoric, but it's historic truth. That's what the V'hi She'amda is. Not that we're, arousing the Jew to go take revenge against the enemy. That's not the V'hi She'amda. You might suggest that might be the Shefel Chamoscha El Agoyim, right? At the very end, when we open the door to welcome Eliyahu Hanavi to our Seder, we say, Shefel, maybe God pour out his wrath. Maybe that is vengeful. We'll Bezrat Hashem deal with that, but not this. The V'hi She'amda is not rhetoric to talk about vengeance. It's rather to awaken the Jews sitting around the Seder to realize this is my reality. I can relate to this story because this story is mine. There's no difference what my forefathers experienced and what I'm experiencing in 2026. That's why this is so important. Okay, so continue on. It says, say ulamad ma bikesh Lavan ha'arami. Go out and see what Lavan wanted to do. Sheparo, this is one of the wildest statements, if not the most wild statement in the entire Haggadah. This statement. And it on the surface of it, you're scratching your head and you're going, did I just read those words? Sheparo lo gazar el al-azacharim. Lavan was much worse. Say ulamad, go learn, go check. Say ulamad, go check. You'll find out that Lavan was much worse than Paro. How do I know it? Because Paro just wanted to do what? Destroy the males. He instructed that the Jewish male children should be drowned. The Lavan, no. You want to know Lavan? Bikesh la'akoras hakol. He wanted to annihilate us all. Shenamar, Arami, Oved, Avi, and I'll prove it to you, Arami, Oved, Avi, and then you lead into Arami, Oved, Avi. So what in the world is going on here? Right after you say V'hi She'amda, you say, hey, this is my reality, right? And I'm going to show it to you, it's my reality. And then you make this wild statement, Sheparo lo gozar. Lavan is, you have two evil people, Lavan on the blackboard and Paro on the blackboard. Which one is worse? And when are you saying this? On the night of Yitzias Mitzvah Seder, we're going to talk about Lavan being the worst? Doesn't make sense, right? So the Rav explained, how could the Haggadah introduce Lavan into the Haggadah as the real enemy of the Jew? Because the Torah text, which the Haggadah doesn't quote per se, he says, really, if you take a look, the Rav says, it admits to it. Lavan did. Bereshis 31:29 says, Yesh lekel yodi la'asos imachem ra. It lies within my power and my hand to do evil to you. Yesh le'el yodi. Yesh le'el yodi la'asos imachem ra. This is what Lavan says. Lavan catches. You remember the story? Let me stop for half a second. What was the story? Yaakov decides he's had it. 21 years with this father-in-law of his. It's true, he has 4 wives. He has, at that juncture, how many children? 11. He has 11. Binyamin is yet to be born, right? He has actually 12 because Dinah. He has 11 boys and Dinah, right? That's what the Torah tells us. He might have had others, but what the Torah tells us, he has 11 boys and Dinah. And he has 4 wives. And he is quite well off. He is quite well off. He has become a very wealthy man. And Yaakov says to himself, it's time to leave. He calls his wives, if you remember the story in the text, and he meets with them and he says, I want to leave. And they said, we totally understand. We're with you. Our father is not the guy to deal with. He's been terrible to you. We totally understand. So we're going to leave, correct? That was the story. So do they tell Lavan that they're leaving? No. So he leaves in the middle of the night. He packs his family up. He goes. And then Lavan is told, hey, guess what? Yaakov left with your children and grandchildren. And Lavan pursues and catches up to him, right? And God appears to Lavan that night before he talks to Yaakov. And he says, don't you dare do anything to Yaakov. Don't you dare, because I'll interfere. That was the dream that Lavan has. So Lavan wakes up and he says to Yaakov when he encounters him, listen to the words, Yesh le'el yodi la'asos imachem ra. It lies within my power. Lavan talking to Yaakov. Yaakov, I want you to know something. It lies within my power of my hand to do evil to you. And Rabbi Soloveitchik says the grammar of that pasuk tells us what the Baal Haggadah wrote. What did the Baal Haggadah write? Say, Lavan is worse than Paro. I can show it to you, Lavan's worse than Paro. Because who's he talking to? Who's Lavan talking to? Yaakov. Yaakov is one or two. One human being. From grammatical perspective, what form should it be? Plural or singular? He said, yes, of course. It is in my power to fill up the word, to do you damage. But he writes it imachem. Imachem is not singular, it's plural. It is my power to do, in other words, he's saying all of you. Who's the all of you? His daughters, his grandchildren, his children, his grandchildren. I could wipe all of you out. What kind of a human being, Rabbi Soloveitchik asks, would ever consider hurting his own children and grandchildren? I get it. Rabbi Soloveitchik doesn't say this, but I get it. The son-in-law, yeah, you can get rid of him. But your daughters and your grandchildren, how can you get rid of them? And he says it, imachem. He does say in the plural. And this plural, Rabbi Soloveitchik says, oh, now I get Lavan. What makes Lavan tick? Lavan was ready to harm all of them because the Rav Soloveitchik notes, he was upset that, and I quote the Rav, they had adopted a God that he did not understand. They have a religion that I can't relate to. It's, in other words, what kind of battle is this for Lavan? It's a religious battle. Oh, does that sound familiar? What is Iran? Right? Iran, it's a religious, when it becomes a religious battle, it doesn't end. It becomes he felt so alienated from his own children because they had become Jewish that he was kindled with an insane hatred against them, against his own children. Nothing short of divine intervention would have stopped Lavan from implementing his plan. End of quote of Rabbi Soloveitchik. What is the Rav saying? It is so contemporary, it is unbelievable. The Rav understands, how could the Haggadah say, we have two pictures on the board, Paro, Lavan. Please choose who's worse to the Jews. And we'd all choose Paro, certainly on Seder night.
Right.
That's the man that we've been talking about. No. The Baal Haggadah says, you got it wrong. I'm going to teach you something, the Baal Haggadah says. Paro wasn't as bad as Lavan. Lavan was the Hitler. Lavan was the Hitler, not Paro. Paro wasn't a Hitler. Lavan was the Hitler. Isn't that wild? And you have to stop and you have to say, how is that possible? We totally understand such hatred. We're witnessing it as we sit here this morning. This is the motivation of Iran, as I thought about it, was I'm not preparing the notes for this year. This is, as soon as it becomes your source of animosity is religion, you have no tolerance for somebody else's religion, it's totally absorbing and totally goes beyond logic. It's not logical. It's totally not logical. The Emirates is logical. Let's make peace with a country that will benefit from. We'll both benefit from it. They'll benefit. We'll have peace. In their lexicon in Iran of these people that are running Iran, the Khomeinis, there is no word called peace. It doesn't exist.
It's not a value.
It's not a value at all. Why? Because they're fighting a religious war. When you fight religious wars, There is no end. It's a zero-sum game. My religion has to win, your religion has to lose. That is the bottom line when it's a religious war. 100% when it's a religious war. And that is who Lavan is. Paro, let's stop a half a second, Rabbi Soloveitchik says. Please describe Paro. What motivated Paro? Paro is a wicked man. We're not letting him off the hook. Paro is a wicked man, but he has totally different goals. The Rav explained, and I read to you what the Rav wrote about Paro. Paro, he was immoral. He was an exploiter, a slave driver, but he was, and I love this line, he was normal. That's what the Rav says. He was normal. He made money from his slave society. He wanted to keep the Jews downtrodden, but he did not try to wipe them out because he's normal. He has a goal. What's his goal? What's Paro's goal? Domination, pragmatic economy. Economy. That is what it is. I'm going to be the great power of the world because I'm going to control the economy of the world. I control the economy. How do I control the economy? I have slave help, right? Well, that's one of the ways that the ancients did it. Judaism was a revolution to this, but that's one of the ways that these ancients tried to control the economy. Just the opposite of Lavan, Rabbi Soloveitchik says. Paro is normal, Lavan is abnormal, because they're working on different perspectives of life. Lavan is working on, it's my religion, and my religion has to control. Paro, it's my control of the world economically. I want to be the strongest power in the world. That's Paro. Does he do things wrong? 100%. He orders the Hebrew male sons to be drowned in the Nile. But what about his own son? He would never consider. Paro, prove it to me, the Rav says. The Rav is painting a picture of Paro being normal. I'll tell you how he's Paro. Paro kills the male sons, the males of the Jews. He does. That's immoral, terrible. That's ruthless. But not when it comes to his own children. On the night of the 10th plague, the night of Exodus, what happens? Paro's son dies. Paro's son dies. And what does Paro do? He goes nuts. He runs to find Moshe and he says, get out of here. My own family is being affected by this. I can't take it. What did Lavan do? Imachem, I can kill you. I can kill my own children, my own grandchildren. Paro would never have killed his own grandchildren and his own children. It didn't even come into his thinking because Paro is normal. That's what the Rav means. Paro is normal. He has normal human feelings. Lavan is able to kill those he should love the most because they're beyond my perspective religiously. It's a religious war. Yeah.
I think a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Was Paro waiting to hear from his astrologers when this savior of the Jews was going to?
Yeah, the Medrash says so.
Okay.
The Medrash says so. Yeah, that's the Medrash.
His supply of
right, but that's the Medrash. But Rabbi Soloveitchik, looking at this statement right after Vihi Shiamdo, saying, suddenly introduced Lavan. By the way, you should know, Paro wasn't the worst guy. Lavan was worse. Lavan wanted to annihilate all of us. Paro didn't annihilate all of us. He would have only annihilated the male, right? That's what the text says that we read here. The Lavan goes, huh? What? What is that doing here? So what does it answer? You should understand. History works as follows. If it is a motivation of a war based on religion, you got big problems. There is no logic to it. There's just hate, and we can testify to that today.
How does that relate to like Hitler? So his religion was Nazism?
Yes. Yes.
And hatred of the Jews.
Oh, he hated the Jews. He hated the Jew for the religion. He hated the Jew because they were different. That's correct. That's the same thing that who else in Jewish history? Haman.
Yeah.
Haman, right? Identical kind of thing, right? Am mefuzar mefurad ben ha'amim.
They have no religion themselves, they just hate it. Yeah.
Their religion is, that's right, hatred. 100%. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, but I mean, from a purely economic basis, it would have killing the men means you're killing your workforce.
That's what I was saying,
Well,
yeah.
but the Medrash says, well, why did they do that? Because he had this perspective that the savior was going to be from men. Okay, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yes, but he's normal in the sense of his attitude towards his family.
Yeah.
That's Rabbi Soloveitchik's
Well, it makes
approach.
sense if he had an end point where like
Yes.
he's gonna hear from his guys, oh, you're good,
Right.
and then he's still
Right.
happy. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's just the opposite of
From a population perspective on this thing, Paro killing the firstborn. So if you're deserted on an island, I learned this in college, and you
Yeah.
have 10 men and 1 woman, the next year you're going to have 1 baby. But if you put 10 women and 1 man, you will have 10 children. So in order to keep these
Give me this again. If you're
like demographic population, if you're on a desert island,
yes,
and there's 10 people on the island, 11 people, and you have 10 men and 1 woman, there
yes.
will be 1 birth the next
Right.
year. And if you have 10 women and 1 man, you possibly could have 10.
Right.
So to keep your slave population up by killing the men.
It's more and
it
more
would
important
decimate
to
your
women.
population.
You're saying it's more important to keep the women.
Having the girls is
That's
fine.
what you're saying.
Our population.
Oh, so
Right.
you answered Linda's concern.
population.
Yeah.
Fine, it's just-
Interesting. So it wasn't. He's quite normal. He's a thinker from his perspective. Rabbi Soloveitchik says, I can understand Paro. I can't understand Lavan. There's nothing to understand because there's no logic to that. It's
Narcissism.
illogical,
It's just
right?
narcissism.
We don't understand. We don't
So
understand a
basically-
Hitler. We don't understand a Khomeini. We don't, because we're working with logic, huh? You don't act like this. It's self-destructive,
They look at Hamas.
right? Exactly.
They
They could have had,
happy to
yeah,
have their
100%,
country destroyed.
100%. That's Rabbi Soloveitchik's approach. Rabbi Sachs takes a whole different perspective. Okay, he views this message of Lavan. Okay, so Lavan wants to destroy everybody. Lavan is the arch enemy. Lavan is depicted as the worst from Paro. He he sees it totally differently than Rav. Remember, the Rav looking at the logic and of the two, right? Saying Paro is logical and Lavan is illogical. Rabbi Sachs sees it totally different. Rabbi Sachs views the message of this passage totally differently. He understands this text as depicting, the Rav understood it as depicting how far anti-Semitism could evolve, right? That's the Rav. The Rav seen Lavan as the arch anti-Semite. Okay, Lavan was motivated by religious hate, which means you can kill everybody and everybody, even if they're related to you. Rabbi Sachs reads this message totally different. First, he knows. Arami Oved Avi. This is the introduction to Arami Oved Avi, which is the major text of the Haggadah, right? My father was a wandering Armenian. Please define what those words mean. Who is the Arami Oved Avi? Who is the wandering Armenian? Who is he? So we know the Mefarshim, the commentators, the classical biblical commentators say it's either Avraham or it's Yaakov. But who is it not?
Yitzchak.
No, it's not Lavan.
Right.
Arami Oved Avi means, right? My father, who's my father, was a wandering Armenian. What is guys, take a look in the Haggadah. Stay ulamad, go out and learn. I'm going to give you a class now, it says. That's what the Haggadah says. I want you to go and learn. Ma bikesh Lavan ha'arami, Lavan the Armenian. Lavan is called the Armenian. What did he want to do to Yaakov? Sheparo lo gazar elala zacharim. Paro only wanted to kill the males. Lavan bikesh lahakoras hakol. Lavan wanted to kill everybody. And how do I know that? Because I have a biblical text to prove my theory. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, Arami Oved Avi. Who is the Armenian here? Who's Lavan ha'arami? You're putting in Lavan in here. Rabbi Sachs says, give me a break. No Meforesh says Arami Oved Avi is an army. My father was who's my father? Lavan? Remember the Meforshim, the Rashbam, Rashi, they all say Rashbam is the grandson of Rashi. So the Rashi and the Rashbam, they'll say either it's Avraham, Arami Oved Avi. Who was the wandering Jew? Who was the wandering Jew, guys? Who got Lech Lecha? Abraham. Maybe it's Abraham. No. Who else wandered? Yitzchak certainly doesn't. You're right. It's not Yitzchak. But who else? Maybe it's Yaakov. Yaakov went on a journey, right? He went to Lavan's place. He came back. Yaakov is always on the move. Yaakov, right? He's depicted as the wandering Jew. So Avram finally settles down. Yaakov can't even settle down. Where does he settle down? In the one place he doesn't want to settle down. His last 17 years are in Mitzrayim. God, does he get a bad rap, right? Okay, that's either Avram or Yaakov. Who is it? Definitely not, Rabbi Sachs notes. Lavan? Give me a break. You got to be kidding. How could the Baal Haggadah write? Arami Oved Avi, right? Sheparo, the Lavan Bikesh Lakor Sakot. The Lavan is the Arami Oved Avi. What? Rabbi Sachs reads this passage as it doesn't make sense. It clearly doesn't make sense. In the words of Rabbi, yes.
Sorry, I'm a little lost on the premise based on the text, right? So it's saying, so Lavan wanted to destroy everybody, and then we go into the source text.
What's he called? Go back now. Lavan Arami.
Yeah.
So who is Arami Oved Avi that we're now going to read? Right after this is an opening sentence to the major text of the Haggadah. The major text of the Haggadah is what the Jew says when he takes his first fruits to Yerushalayim every Shavuos. He makes a declaration. And he makes the declaration, and the Torah tells us in Parshas Kisavu, he says, Arami Avi, hey, that's the Haggadah. He says the Haggadah.
Can we translate? So,
we
translate the word Arami Aved Avi.
An Armenian, well, my father was a wandering Armenian.
So Oved can mean wandering, it can mean destroy. Right?
Well, Oved here means wandering.
I'm not confused too.
But
Yeah.
translated here is destroy.
But it usually means it's wandering.
Right?
And I think that Robbie be like turned around.
So who's the Arami?
From my eye.
But just tell me, Arami is a statement of a nation. Arami, he's from Aram. Who was from Aram? Avram was from Aram. Aram Naharayan. Avram was from Aram. I get Yaakov. Yaakov went to Aram because he went to look for his wife. He wanted one, he got four. But right, poor guy. It's okay. But, right? Oh, so who is the Armenian? Just tell me who's the Aram.
Abraham.
Or Yaakov. Who is it not?
Yitzchak or Lava.
Yitzchak certainly is out of the question. Yitzchak doesn't come into the equation. But who is it not from our text in the Haggadah?
Lavan.
Lavan. And what does the text say? What does the text call Lavan?
Right.
Harami. Oh, you want to know who Harami Ovid is? It's Lavan.
But could they not have been? Because
Why can't
Lavan's related to Abraham.
Why can't it?
Wow,
He's your
I'm
father.
missing something. Oh,
He's
'cause
Harami Ovid.
The English
Yeah, the
translation.
English translation is what's making
not.
What does the English translation say?
I think Assyrian had nearly caused my father
Assyrian
to
now.
be buried.
Okay.
Okay, so put in Arami.
Okay. Okay. It matters how you translate it. It matters how you translate it. Right.
The
Okay.
key is,
Right.
is actually Oved. Is how are you
Right.
translating
Ovid. Right.
So what
Right.
is the translation?
So that's how
So the text in front of you is suggesting, I'll tell you who the Arami is. It's Lavan, Arami.
Okay.
Plug in. We call Lavan here in this text. Mabikesh Lavan Harami. What did Lavan want to do to you? Lasos the Yaakov Avinu. What did he want to do to Jacob? Sheparo lokazar laschorim. Paro only wanted to kill your male. No, Lavan, the Armenian. What did he want to do? Bikesh lakor sakol. He wanted to kill all Jews. Got it?
So how should we translate Arami Ovidavi? How should we translate it?
Okay. You're an Armenian. Our father was an Armenian wanderer.
That's very different.
Okay. So Rabbi Sachs reads this passage as follows. This clearly is not the plain meaning of the text, that it's Lavan. Clearly. Furthermore, there is no clear evidence in the Torah, Rabbi Sachs argues. The Rav saw, remember, go back. I gave you a shot of the Rav. The Rav looked at it from the grammatical imachem. He proved that Lavan was an evil intention person because he said, when he was talking to Yaakov that night when he caught, well, the day that he caught up with him, remember, Yaakov got out of there. Yaakov and Lavan's told, guess what? Your son and your children and grandchildren have left. And he goes and pursues them. He's about ready to catch them. And God intervenes, and God tells Lavan, don't you dare do anything to Yaakov. I'm not going to tolerate it. And the next morning, he admits that. Lavan says, I can't touch you because God won't let me. But I want you to know that it is in my power to kill you. Who does he say? You, the singular, or you, the plural? The plural. So Rabbi Soloveitchik says, what in the world is he using the plural for? Because Rabbi Soloveitchik says, you see, he was driven by a religious hatred. And when it becomes a religious hatred, you can kill even your own family, which, by the way,
But
history
he
has
did it because of
documented.
Hashem, which
That's
is very-
correct.
there-
That's correct. That's the Vihishayamda.
Yeah.
That's by the grace of God, we are here studying in Los Angeles. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
By the grace of God.
Because it isn't.
What?
It's interesting that it's in my power.
Well, he's talking to whom?
It's fucking Yaakov.
And he's telling him what's on his mind.
Yeah.
So that's Rabbi Soloveitchik's understanding.
Right.
The grammar gives you the clue, because everybody asks this question. Understand, this sentence in the Haggadah is difficult, and it's the one that pops out off the page. If I would say to you, what is the most misunderstood or complicated statement in the Haggadah? It's this one. No, Paro wasn't the real wicked one. Lavan was worse. It just doesn't make sense. What are we celebrating on Seder night? What's this text supposed to be about? Egyptian exodus from Egypt. So there was no Lavan in Egypt, right? There was Paro. So are you diminishing Paro? Are you defending a little Paro? Is that what you're doing? Does that make sense to you?
He only did.
What?
He only went after guys.
Only one guy. But I'll show you. In history, we had a worse enemy, and his name was Lavan. So Rabbi Soloveitchik, everybody is bothered by this. Rabbi Soloveitchik gives that approach. I will prove to you that Lavan really was worse, and it then gives you, even through the Rav's perspective, it gives you an understanding of what motivated Paro. Paro was not motivated by religion. Paro was motivated by pragmatic economy. Doesn't that sound familiar? Right? There are countries that are motivated by pragmatic economy. This country of ours, it's a wonderful country, but there are so many people here that the only thing they're willing to think about right now is the bread and butter on their plate, not realizing that might not exist at all if you have an enemy that's going to cause you another Pearl Harbor. Because that's the only way, that's why I keep on thinking, if I was President Trump, I'd go to Congress, I'd go to the people, I'd say, am I waiting for a Pearl Harbor? Are you guys nuts? This country can do multiple Pearl Harbors to us. And then you're going to say, hey, where were the leaders? So you know what? I have to take the offensive, not the defensive. I don't want to be a defensive army. That's correct. I want to protect you so that your food will be on your table way beyond a month from now. But for years and years, as they say, who was it? Brett Stevens, somebody wrote that, or maybe it was an editorial in the Wall Street Journal today. But I saw it, Trump is 100% right. He doesn't want to go back every 2 years and fight this war. And that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been doing, as we did it in Clinton, and then we did it in Obama, and we're doing it again in Bush, and we're doing it, and Trump, thank God, said, as volatile as the man is, and he is, but here he is 1000% right. There was an op-ed yesterday in the Wall Street Journal. I hate to keep on calling the Wall Street Journal, but it's the only paper.
Also, by the
That's
way.
right.
Oh yeah, the paper gives you the same kind of nonsense that you give everybody. Yeah. But But they said, what was what I was just going to tell you? No, you're 100% right about what you just said.
Op-ed yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, you said.
You weren't sure about it. You weren't sure where it was. It might have been op-ed. It might have been Brett Stevens.
Okay, that no, that we can't tolerate this all the time. That this is, but there was something else I was going to tell you, and I don't remember. It came in and came out. No problem. If it comes back, I'll tell you. Anyhow, so that's not what Rabbi Sachs's approach is. Now let's take a look at Rabbi Sachs. So we have Rabbi Soloveitchik. Rabbi Sachs says, I read this and it makes no sense. Listen to the words of Rabbi Sachs. He says, the plain meaning of the text to suggest is a reference to Lavan is beyond acceptable. It just doesn't make sense. Furthermore, there's no clear evidence in the Torah that Lavan ever tried to destroy Yaakov. Rabbi Soloveitchik is suggesting from Imachem, but there is no clear evidence in the Torah, in the words of Rabbi Sachs. He pursued Yaakov, and God appeared to him at night, telling him, do Jacob no harm. But we are not told what his intentions were. We're not told that he was going to kill Yaakov. God told him, don't do any harm. Most significantly, the interpretation seems to cut across the whole theme of the Haggadah, which is about slavery in Egypt. It's strange indeed to begin by saying that Paro, he was bad, but Lavan was worse, right? That's what Rabbi Sachs writes. He says, I don't understand this story. Rabbi Sachs then quotes, he says, I was inspired, and I had to look up this guy because I had never heard of him. He was a rabbi in London. He seems to have been born in the city of Slobodka. So he was a Lithuanian Jew. I don't know if he went to Slobodka or not, but that's where my grandfather went to yeshiva. But my grandfather grew up right across the river from Slobodka. Slobodka is a suburb of Kovna. If you know Lithuania, right? Vilna and Kovna are the two big cities. I've been there, so I can tell you, I have a visual of it. Kovna, Slobodka was a neighborhood like it's a suburb we're a suburb of Los Angeles, right? Of the big city. Okay, fine. He says, Rabbi Sachs quotes this Rav, and again, I never heard of him. He was in London from the early to mid 20th century. He dies in the 1960s. His name is Rav Tzvi Hirsch Ferber. He seemed to have been a brilliant Talmid Chacham and a very respected rabbi. He was a pulpit rabbi and a tremendous Talmid Chacham, and he was an orator. And this makes sense. Rabbi Sachs knew him, or knew of him. So he quotes him. But again, I never heard of him. So I had to search, easy enough. AI gives it to you. 1, 2, 3. Who is this guy? Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch Ferber. Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch Ferber, Rabbi Sachs quotes. Listen to Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch Ferber. He says, I'm going to give you a mashal, a parable. The sun and the wind were once arguing which one's stronger. The sun said, I'm stronger because I give light and warmth to the world. The wind said, no, I'm stronger because nothing can stand in my way. Just then, a farmer began plowing his field. The sun said to the wind, well, let's settle our argument right now. Once and for all, let us see which of us can remove the jacket from the farmer. Who's going to get the guy to take his jacket off first? That will prove who's stronger. The wind accepted the challenge and began to blow. But the harder it blew, the more tightly the farmer clung on to his jacket until the wind gave up exhausted. Then the sun says, my turn, right? Okay. He began to shine. As soon as the farmer felt the heat, the jacket came off. Warmth is more powerful than wind. That's the parable. Now, the rabbi goes on. So it was with Bnei Yisrael. Paro and his people afflicted the Israelites. But the more, he quotes the Pasuk, right? In Shemos Perek Aleph Pasuk Yud Beis, the more they oppressed us, the more we multiplied and spread. Listen again. The more they oppressed us, the more we had more children and more children, right? Lavan did not afflict Yaakov. On the contrary, he was like the sun, if you will. He was Lavan, and Yaakov grew rich. He wasn't oppressed. Lavan didn't oppress. Lavan was tricky, right? He was tricky, but he didn't oppress Yaakov. The danger was that he would remain with Lavan and forget who he was. Yaakov had the opportunity to stay with Lavan. He could have built his whole family with Lavan, right? But then he would have forgotten who he was as an identity. So It has been throughout Jewish history, Rabbi Ferber writes. The more Jews suffered, the more they prayed, the more they studied, the more they kept the commandments. The paradox is that the danger to Jewish continuity has not been slavery. It has not been suffering, but it has been affluence and freedom. Stop for half a second. We know that. The assimilation in this country was the worst part of, we almost disappeared, not because they wanted to kill us in this country, but because they accepted us and we married into them, right? As soon as they give us, Israelis have said this for years. He says, the Palestinians should learn a little history. They should learn, and they would know that instead of trying to kill us, if they hugged us, we most probably would disappear. Israelis have said this. They're saying it ironically because that's Jewish history. You hug me and you kiss me, I assimilate. You hate me, you oppress me, I multiply. That's Jewish history, and that's what Rabbi Ferber is saying. The wind can't destroy us. What can destroy us? The sun, the warmth. Give me a hug, give me a kiss, I will disappear. Give me a punch in the stomach, I will punch you harder.
World War II Germany.
Yes, 100%. Okay.
Yeah, they've married
So-
the nobles.
100%. This is Jewish history.
In Vienna,
Okay,
they-
now let me finish up with Rabbi Sachs, because this is so beautiful. You have two different interpretations of a major text in the Haggadah. So Moshe warned at the end of his life. Rabbi Ferber writes, be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God. Otherwise, when you eat and when you are satisfied, and when you build fine houses and settle down, and when your herds and flocks grow large and your silver and gold increases, and all you have is multiplied, then your heart will become proud. You will forget the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Where's that from? Devarim, Perek Ches, Psukim Yud Aleph through Yud Dalet. I just read you the English of Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 11 through 14. Rabbi Ferber says, there you got it. You want to know what the message of the Lavan, Bikesh Lakor Sakol, what's Lavan doing here? It's a Musar shmooze. It's an ethical lesson around the table. Interpreted this way, the passage contains a powerful message. Do not think that the story of Paro or Exodus ends the story of the Jews. It only begins it. It only begins it. It's one thing to believe that God is there when you need him to help. It's another when you already feel powerful. Do you need God? When you have the rachush, when you have the jewelry and the wealth, right? The Yetzu b'rachush gadol. We left Egypt with great wealth. Well, what happened in the Midbar? We began to complain and complain and complain and complain, right? Affluence, no less than slavery, can make you. This is the lesson that Rabbi Sachs is suggesting is Lavan bikesh lakor sakol. Lavan is like whom? He's the son. Paro is like whom in our parable? The wind. Paro throws the kids in the ocean, right? He murders our children. Yeah, that's this. But Lavan never did that. Lavan did just the opposite of Rabbi Soloveitchik's approach, right? Just the opposite. Both are valid, but he thinks that what is this message here? It's a Musar shmooze to teach us. At the end of the day, at the end of the Seder, you got to say, what did I take from this Seder? I didn't just take the hatred of the non-Jew. I should take another lesson too. The anti-Semitism is certainly there. That we can all relate to. But there's such an important lesson Rabbi Sachs is suggesting, quoting this Rabbi Ferber. He says, the other lesson of Pesach is, guys, when it goes well for you, don't forget God. When you're at the top of the mountain, don't forget God. Right? That's the lesson. Lavan was like the sun. He hugged us. He kissed us. He gave wealth to Yaakov. Yaakov could have stayed with Lavan. Yaakov understood, if I stay with Lavan, what happens to my identity? It grows out and I lose everything, right? So that's when he picks up his bags and he moves. But he was Yaakov left Lavan very, very, very wealthy, right? But he couldn't have retained his identity if he would. By the way, who told him it's time to go? Who told Yaakov it's time to go?
Is it Rachel?
No. Yes, Hashem does. But he gets a messenger. A woman that dies and he buries. Devorah Menekes Rivka. Right? In Parshas Vayishlach. Devorah Menekes Rivka. And she's buried under the tree, right? She's the one that Rivka. Remember when Yaakov leaves to Lavan, Rivka says Rivka never sees her son again. When Yaakov leaves to Lavan, Rivka says to him, "What? I will call you back when it's time to come. When I know that Esav is no longer interested in killing you, I'll call you back." Does she ever call him back? There are many Meforshim that say yes. She sends Devorah. Devorah, her nurse. Who's Devorah? Rabbi Soloveitchik asks. Beautiful. If you remember, we learned that. Devorah, who is Devorah? What?
Is this Shel?
Yeah,
Devorah goes and interrupts the story.
She was like
Here. It's not even, right.
She was
Suddenly the story stops, and where is it? It's in Parshas Vayishlach, I think. Devorah. Devorah is in Parshas Vayishlach. Right after the dream, right? Hey, Tzedina, is it Vayishlach?
In Vayetze.
Here it is on page. You have a Chumash 186. 186. It's Periklamet Hay Pasuk. So it's Periklamet Hay. There.
This is after.
Vatamos Pasuk Ches. Vatamos Devorah Menekes Rivka Vatikover Mita. Suddenly, this was after Shem, after Dinah was raped, after all of that. They're on their way home, right? Suddenly, Vayomer, the Devorah dies. Vatamos Devorah. Suddenly, it interrupts the story. An interruption. A news flash. Vatamos Devorah Menekes Rivka. Vatikover Mitachas Leves El Tachas Alon. Vayikro Shmo Alon Bachus. She dies. They bury her on the tree. Continue. One pasuk. It doesn't make sense. Rabbi Soloveitchik explains. Yes, it does. Devorah Menekes Rivka. Devorah was the woman who trained Rivka back in her father's home to believe in one God. She was the one. She was the teacher. And Devorah was sent by Rivka to tell Yaakov, come on home. That's why it gets interrupted there. Devorah is very important. Devorah is the linchpin. Devorah is the one who says, come on home. So Rabbi Sachs, to wrap it all up because it's late already. So we have two approaches, right? Two beautiful approaches. The question is a very simple question. What in the world does the Haggadah mean? Throwing in Lavan to the story of the Seder. And it seems like you're letting Paro off the hook. Paro's not such a bad guy. What? Come on, give me a break. Doesn't make sense. No. What is Lavan doing here? So Rabbi Soloveitchik says, you understand Paro through Lavan, right? Paro was a pragmatic, quote unquote, the rough words, normal guy. He was never going to hurt his family. Lavan was motivated by anti-Semitism that was religiously motivated. When it's anti-Semitism religiously motivated, you can destroy everything, right? That's the Rav's understanding. That's Lavan, not Paro. Paro, he's not off the hook, but you should understand. That's the way the Rav understands it, right? Understand who your enemy is. Understand what motivates your enemy. It's a beautiful shot. Rabbi Sachs says, I don't buy that. Because there is no text clearly in the Torah telling me that Lavan really wanted to annihilate all of us. Where is it? And he says, it's a Musar Shmutz. What we got here is not letting Paro off the hook. It's a message to the people around the Seder, saying to us, you got it good. Don't forget God. Oh, it's easy to remember God when things are going bad. Things are going bad. You cry, you daven, you call.
No atheist in a foxhole.
No atheist in a foxhole. None. It doesn't exist. Correct. 1000%. That's what it's saying. But when you have affluence and you're sitting nicely and beautiful and everything's going well, do you still call out to Hashem? Do you still say Ano Hashem Oshiana? Ano Hashem Atzlichana? Is that when you say it? That's the lesson. It's beautiful pshat.
Yeah.
It's two beautiful pshatim. Understand your enemy, Rabbi Soloveitch. Understand the Musar Shmuz, Rabbi Sachs. Remember, be committed to God.
And also it can be taken away at any moment.
100%. That's the lesson. That's the lesson. Yeah. Right.
I understand all of that. I don't understand how that explains Arami Ovida Avi. How does that refer? If Lavan is, we still have that same question. Lavan
No. So Arami Ovid. No.
Yeah.
So they're playing with the text. And they're saying, oh, we're going to insert Arami Ovid. Ovid the Balagoto is mechadesh that it's Lavan. Right?
Okay.
The author of the compiler of the text on Seder night is telling you should read Arami Ovid Avi in a fantastic way. It might not be simple pshat because it's either Avraham or Yaakov.
Right.
No, I don't want you to read it that way. I have a lesson to teach you. Arami Ovid Avi is Lavan. It's Lavan? Oh, how could that be? So either you have Rabbi Salam, why would you bring Lavan into this, right? And the Rav then will say, well, that is alluded to in the text because of the plural versus the singular. And he is contrasting the approaches. Yeah.
I'm sorry I paused you, but I'm sorry. I understand why we're bringing in Lava, but I don't understand how, if we're interpreting Arami Ovid Avi as our father was an Armenian wanderer, how does that mean Lavan?
Lavan is one of our ancestors.
Okay, so that's
Lavan is an ancestor. It's just like Terach is an ancestor. Mitchila Ovdei Avodah Zarah. Who's Mitchila Ovdei Avodah Zarah? Terach. Terach. Oh, yeah. Lavan is related to us. Can't choose your relatives, right? Lavan is is part of the mishpacha.
Yeah.
He might not be getting Mafter Yonah on Yontif, but he is, right?
And then I have another question. I know that Rabbi Ferber and by connection Rabbi Sachs are not looking at the pasuk that the Rav was looking at
Totally not.
at all. But does he have any interpretation of why he uses the plural?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. In the Chumash, by the way, that they did produce, I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Have you seen seen the new Koren Rabbi Sachs Chumash? It's a masterpiece.
It's right.
It's a masterpiece. It's not good for shuls. God bless Koren, and they've done a phenomenal job, but they can't get it right when it comes to shuls.
Why?
That's too thick of a Chumash,
It's very thick.
and it's not bound well. And it's not bound well.
So the layout is-
That
layout.
of their Sidurim are not bound well. But they're phenomenal Sidurim.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal, I love Koren. Half of this library is Koren now. Koren has become the Dati Le'umi printer, the publisher. They're publishing stuff that is amazing. Every year I just buy the stuff that they're producing. It's phenomenal. But they don't know how to bound. And also the way they lay out the page is very confusing. You get very confusing. Yeah, Tom and I were talking about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow, okay, so that's, yes, you have a question.
I was looking at this Orsameach one,
Yeah.
and they came up with another point to your point.
Okay.
Which is that Lavan tried to poison Eliezer.
Oh, that's a medrash. A medrash. That's a medrash. Okay, it's a medrash. Okay, everybody should have, yes. You have a question? I don't have the shtar with me, but do it online, or you can do it.
Do it online.
Yeah. You can do it online. You can come over to see me. I usually come by me. Let me just wrap it up here. Okay, everybody should have a wonderful, wonderful Yom Tov. That's
Thank you,
about it.
Rob.
Yeah, no, next week it's.
Maybe I'll ask 2 questions off the record.